I think I'm going to give people one more minute to show up and then get started. And while the rest of us are waiting, if you guys haven't already, go to the App Store and download DropSpin, whether it's the Play Store or the iOS Store. So you guys know, and again, I'm probably going to be going over this a little bit more once we start going through the demo, but DropSpin is at its core a web application. It's designed to be used, when you export your scores or write your scores, you're going to be doing that on a computer. And so the idea is that you export your score and then upload it into DropSpin on the computer. And what the mobile app is it's a player app. It's a partner app that syncs with whatever you're doing online, and you're able to run your rehearsal entirely from your phone. So just at a high level, when you're downloading the app from the App Store, that's actually what you're downloading, is really the core metronome. It's totally free to download. It's just its own metronome as is. I think, as far as metronomes go, it is really, really the metronome that I wished always existed for this activity in particular. Just to give you guys maybe like a really high level demo of at least the player app, if you haven't played with it already. This is what it looks like, right? Just a pretty typical metronome, but with the one additional bonus feature of the fact that you can activate or deactivate subdivisions on each count as you're using them, right? And so if we just go ahead and play this now. So if you're working with students on like a timing exercise, eighth notes to triplets, right? As far as I'm aware, this is the only metronome that exists, especially a mobile metronome right now, that allows you to actually switch subdivisions as you're playing and as you're practicing. And of course, you can edit the time signature as well, right? So if you want to only do 3. If you want to adjust the volumes of individual subdivisions, you're able to do that. If you want to deactivate subdivisions, you're able to do that. So, and then maybe the last fun little feature of the metronome itself is our skipping beats, right? Which helps build internal timing. And this actually skips per subdivision as well. So if we activate, for example, all the triplets here. So I just got actually a really nice message a couple of days ago from one of our private instructors who's using DropSpin in all of his private lessons right now. And he said, what were his exact words? Something along the lines of, I could feel his timing getting better right there in the moment, which I thought was awesome. That skipping beats, for any of us who have done it, for any of us who have manually switched the metronome to start skipping beats, whether it's setting it onto halftime or setting it into weird, time signatures that are close enough that let us pretend like the metronome is skipping out. Now we don't have to pretend anymore. This is just a built-in feature into the metronome itself. And this isn't even getting into our score fun yet, which now, like I said, I think that we've got enough people in here and we can get started. So welcome, hello. Sorry I started going without introducing myself, but I think everyone in here knows who I am. We'll see. My name is TJ Ginder. I did a bunch of drum corps for a very long time. I marched at Cavaliers, Rhythm X, Matrix, and Glassman. I did 11 total seasons of world-class marching band. And after that, I went on to teach a bunch of groups, obviously a ton of high school groups. I worked with European X for a season, touring around Europe, giving some clinics on rehearsal process. And so through all of these experiences, I noticed that we did a lot of stuff in rehearsal that was like not ideal. It was just what we had to do to make it work. And what we have all needed for a really long time is a tool that's actually designed and that does what we do, that educates students, that helps make them the best versions of themselves. We want to practice how we perform, and we're going to talk in detail about that once we go through some of these advanced features in DropSpin. And really, we just don't want to waste a staff member or a student at the back of the field, sitting there always distracted, always fiddling with the start and stop button. We don't want metronomes accidentally stopping in the middle of reps. We don't want metronomes to, when you program the DB90 right now, you're spinning a dial. Sometimes you miss it by a click, whether that's the tempo, whether that's the total counts of a given tempo. There's just so many ways for it to go wrong. And we'll talk more in detail about all this stuff as we start going through demonstrations of some of the features. But the whole reason DropSpin exists is because it was something that I really saw and felt I needed as an educator, and even to some extent as a student. And so now it's here, and we're really excited. This has been, if you knew me when I was marching, some of the people on here marched with me, some of the people maybe taught with me as well. You guys know that this has been something that I've been thinking about and working on for about 10 years now. And it did not start truly coming to life until about 4 years ago. I connected with a super brilliant audio engineer with a ton of experience who really was able to cross us from we're building a metronome to we are building verifiably the most highly performant sample perfect metronome on the market, period. And we cross-test this metronome. We designed this for world-class performance. This is designed for this competitive activity. We knew it was critical that this thing is as reliable as the DB90, if not more reliable, because it doesn't, have 9-volt batteries that die every couple of days. And so a couple of years ago, we connected. We started working on the project together. And since then, we have engineered an audio engine that's a real-time audio engine. At least say there is no other mobile metronome that performs in the way that DropSpin performs. And just so that you guys know and have some confidence, first of all, we've had groups running with this. Last season was our first season out. We had kind of a closed beta with a couple people just to make sure it was all working for them well. We got some great feedback. Some of the things like we had to boost the volume of the metronome. So thankfully, all those kinks have already been worked out. You guys don't even have to worry about that. It's been battle tested. It's been field tested. And really critically, that the performance of the metronome itself is just the same as a DB90. And to test this, we do side-by-side tests. We've tested it against the DB90 itself. We've tested it against digital audio workstations such as Ableton or Logic. We'll drop it in there. We'll run the metronome for a bunch of hours at a time, consecutive 2 to 3 hours, just like maybe we'll do in real life, running a metronome for a huge amount of time. And then also, we cross-check that to make sure that we are sample accurate down to 44,000 samples a second. So we're really confident, and a huge amount of engineering work was put into making sure that this thing performs at the absolute peak of what a timekeeping device can do. And that might not sound like too much right now when all we've done is show off some of the subdivisions, but I think once we start getting in here and you guys see what's possible with DropSpin, you'll understand why that was such a critical feature. So to get started, whenever you guys are ready, you can go ahead and go to app.dropspin.io, and you're able, I'm going to log in right now, but you would just click here to register, and you create an account and go ahead and sign in. So once you've done that, you're presented with your library, which again, as we go through this, we're going to go through this in a little bit more detail and show you guys what each of these things are. But just to give you the quick, easy 10-second, how do I program my entire metronome show into a metronome? Let's upload a new score. I'm going to just drag and drop my score. This is a music XML, right? So that's any notation software you're using. When you hit File Save, you just hit File Export as XML. That's what you'll drag into here, right? I'll give it a title, Show Music. We'll call it 2. This is a test of DropSpin. And we're going to put it into DropSpin Demo. That sounds like the right place. So I go ahead and submit. Now, in my mobile app, if I make sure I refresh my latest scores, open up DropSpin Demo, you'll see Show Music 2 was put right in there. And you're ready to rehearse. And your full show is in here, including rehearsal marks, including tempo changes, all kinds of stuff, right? So I don't have a timer with me, but I'm gonna just assume that's a little bit faster than how long this would have taken with the DB90. And I don't think I necessarily need a timer with me, right? Yeah, I see everybody giggling, that's right. So yeah, this is the thing that we should have had all along, right? Not needing to go back and forth and constantly reprogram and reset metronomes. Another nice part about this, I don't know if you guys noticed, but there was a little count in that happened for you automatically. If you like your old school DB90, all the beeps on, you can go ahead and do this. And actually, just for fun, let's activate some triplets on the count off, just so that we're getting our students set up for success here. Right? So you're actually able to set different types of custom count-ins. We're also able to loop scores. I like my tap off here, so I'm going to reset that. And then my between loop, I actually have set to another tap off too. And just so that you guys can hear it's different, let's give it some eighth notes. But if you want to rehearse your score, right, I'm going to start at the beginning. Let's just stop at measure 3. So that's my between loop count off. And this is the last time. So we'll just tap our loop mode, deactivate it. Right. And now our metronome automatically stops in the place that we need it to stop. So that's kind of the short version of how rehearsing with this metronome works. But even beyond just typical metronome, typical tempo changes, all that kind of stuff, I have one more thing that I want to show you guys, and that is rehearsing ritardandos, rehearsing accelerandos. So here we have a ritardando. We're going from 130 to 170, and right here is where the real-time audio engine really makes a difference. So again, we can go ahead and do this on a loop. Yep, and I just clicked last time here, so we should just stop. Right. So I'm sure all of you guys heard how different that is than what we typically do right now with the DB90, right? Which is kind of artificially creating these stair steps, right? And I talked earlier about practicing how you perform and how important that is and how much we communicate that to our students and how important that is. But then yet every time we practice a ritardando or an accelerando, we use this weird metronome stair step thing that doesn't actually train their musicality versus this real-time flexible audio engine that actually calculates in real time how subdivisions move right down to each individual tiny subdivision in there. Another cool thing about this is that any score that you upload, you can actually rehearse at any speed. So right now we're rehearsing at 100% speed, but let's say that we're new and we're learning and we're practicing the drill maybe, and we actually want to go down to 80% speed. Could have done 70, but this is fine, right? So again, this will work obviously on consistent tempos themselves, but not only are we limited to being able to rehearse consistent tempos, but listen to this. Right? So with this, not only are you able to rehearse your scores at 100% speed, but you're also able to tone them back, rehearse them at 80% speed. And it doesn't even matter what the content of the score is, whether they're accelerandos, whether they're ritardandos, right? You're actually able to just slow it down, practice it slow, and then slowly bring it up to the way that you want it to be, you know, up to your 100%, or maybe you want to try juicing the students a little bit, turn it up to 101, see what happens. No, 100% is where we want to rehearse, right? Practice how you perform. But so these are really kind of the core features of the metronome itself. And obviously in some of these demos, I've already gone through and set up the score, right? Like this ritardando demo has got in it, oops, sorry. This ritardando demo in it has got some of these triplets already incorporated, right? So this is all stuff that's kind of a realistic practical application for after you've downloaded your score, you can log in, you can do any additional score programming customizations you want, and then you're ready to rehearse if you want to add the subdivisions or whatever else. So at a high level, like I said, that's kind of the process for getting your score in and then running your rehearsals. There's also though, a whole additional suite of features that we've got built out for you guys. The main one is groups and sharing scores. And so this is to cover the situation of, you know, if you're a band director and you've got your score and you've custom programmed your metronome to have the right subdivisions, or, you know, you got a new version of your score from your arrangers, and so you need to upload a new version of that score. Part of the idea of DropSpin is that you have what are called groups, right? And if you go to manage groups in your app, you're going to see a slightly different page. This is a pro feature, so you need to have a pro subscription in order to get this. But once you've done that, right, it'll be a nice, easy call to action. You hit upgrade to pro, you upgrade, and then you get presented with this groups menu. And the idea behind the groups is that you can kind of see how I've organized it here. I've got private students, I've got this percussion ensemble, and I've got this winds and guard section of people, right? So with my private students, they don't need to see these marching band shows that belong to this other group. But what I do want my private students to have access to is personal practice, maybe the percussion warm-up packet, right? For the percussion students at this particular school, they need the show music and the indoor drum line, but they don't need my personal practice. Maybe they do want the percussion warm-up packet. So just again, at a high level, you're able to create these groups. Let's say DropSpin test group. And I think DropSpin test group needs DropSpin demo and warm-up exercises. And those are the two things that this person needs. So the way that you invite someone into a group, you copy the invite link. You would send this to your student. For me, I'm just going to redeem it myself. So you visit that, boom. And now shared with me also includes those two collections that I just shared, right? So if I go back to my managed groups here, you can see I have DropSpin demo and warm-up exercises. I forgot this particular group needs a couple additional scores, marching band and indoor drumline. Save. Go back to my library. Now I've got those two collections. Actually, this person who redeemed this code was not the right person. They should not be there. Remove this member. Yes. Save this group with the new member. Go back to my library. All those scores are hidden. So that if you have members who are added to groups or removed from groups, you're able to actually manage all of the people within your groups, as well as which specific sets of scores they have access to, right? So in my imaginary setup, my percussion students have my percussion scores, my wind students have my wind scores, and I would send those links to the right people. If anything gets messed up, I can always manually override to remove or add people to those groups as I need to. So like I said, that is kind of a pro feature. Getting a pro subscription gets you 20 connected accounts. So every individual who gets connected into one of your collections, who actually has access to those, that counts as one connected account. And then if you remove them, it goes back down to 0 connected accounts. So we designed this in a way where the basic pro subscription should be good for most marching bands, where it gives you 20 licenses. And ultimately, you can use that however you want, but the idea is that those will go to your staff so that your staff can have all these things on the metronome. And then whenever you're uploading new versions of a score, or you get new show music, you get a new movement, you just drop it into that collection, and all of the devices that are synced with that collection automatically get that score added to their metronome. So now they have access to it. If you add subdivisions, then all of their metronomes update with those subdivisions, right? So you have one single source of truth that's always kept in the latest version of your score. And of course, anyone who those collections are shared with, whether they're students, whether they're staff, they have access to read and look at those scores, but they can't actually do any changes, right? So you totally own the metronome program, and there's no risk of someone activating a bunch of eighth notes and all of a sudden it's blown up your ensemble rehearsal, right? You're the only one who really has control over what that click does. And all of the people who have connected accounts with you, whether that's your staff, whether that's your students, right? All of those people automatically sync to whatever metronome program you have established, or maybe you're having your drum majors do it, is how I feel like it's going to end up being. But, you know, everyone's got their own process. So the last thing, I guess, that DropSpin does is if people are going to be running rehearsals on their phones, which hopefully they are. Hopefully you guys have seen just how insanely powerful and how much better this type of metronome is than what a typical DB90 is. We know you guys are going to want Bluetooth modules. And so we do have some Bluetooth modules for sale as well. You can also just find these on the internet wherever. But I tested using this model, this 300-foot model, as well as this 400-foot model. I went to a stadium in Denver. I live in Denver now. Went up to the top of the box, and I was able to reach all the way back to a speaker at the back of the football field, running it from my metronome, running it from my phone inside that metronome. So just so you guys know, we really have kind of tried to think of everything for you and make sure that we've totally covered every piece of the rehearsal process for you. And yeah, I mean, I think that pretty much wraps up all of the features here in terms of what DropSpin is capable of. I do want to open it up for questions if you guys have anything that you want to ask about the app. And I also, before we get into the questions, just want to give you guys kind of the primary call to action of the call today, right? And really the biggest ask from us to you is get involved, right? This is a community initiative. It's for the marching community, by the marching community. And we really, really want your guys' input on this tool. What are things that you want? What are things that you wish were there? What are things that you're missing, right? Because we're building this for you. This is all for the future of marching education, the future of you, making your job easier, the future of your students, making your students more capable and empowering them, making them better musicians. So what do you want? Be involved, talk to us about that. Also, download the app, start using the app, start utilizing the app in rehearsals as well as personal practice. Again, that's going to give us great feedback about what we could add to it or what we maybe need to change about it. The groups who were using it over the fall were super helpful with getting us really high quality feedback. Like I said, boosting the volume of the metronome was one thing that we got out of there that I think has been hugely valuable. Everyone was happy about that. And we've had pretty good turnaround whenever we've had these requests so that we could get them updated for people. The other thing is today we're running a special for anybody who's attending the webinar where if you log in, go to your managed groups and sign up for a subscription, you actually are going to end up with a lifetime discount on the pro subscription. So like I said, it's totally free to use the app at its basic level. If you just want to have your one account and that's good enough for you, awesome. If you want to just use it for your personal practice or your students want to just use it for their personal practice, it's totally free, right? The metronome itself with its changing subdivisions and its random dropping beats and everything is a massively powerful tool. And so we've made that available to everyone totally free. But the big ask is that, every dollar that goes into DropSpin right now goes directly into developing the future of DropSpin. And even though it's already pretty cool, I'm sure you guys noticed as I was poking around, maybe there were a couple things here and there that we want to fix in terms of usability on the website. And then also we've got a bunch of new features incoming. So one is rehearsal analytics that will actually tell you how many times you've repped particular sections of your show, down to how many times you've actually repped each individual beat of your show is really what the analytics are going to do. It's going to show you, both how much time you've spent in those areas of your show, as well as how many, like just the raw count, right? So you can see, wow, we've run this 4,000 times this season, and we've only run our opener 200 times. Maybe it's time to revisit that a little bit. In a long-term sense, we also want to do this per device. So you can actually see section by section, how long has the drum staff spent on the drum feature? How long has the drum staff spent on this? How long has the section leader spent rehearsing this with the metronome? You're going to get a huge amount of visibility on how much everything is being rehearsed, which I think is going to help us as educators make better decisions about what maybe needs to be watered or what's too hard for our students, or really being able to measure progress in a way that we've never been enabled to measure progress before. Another thing that we're really excited to get in, and again, this is also already in development, is in getting MIDI playback on the scores, so that, you noticed in my mixer that I can edit accents, eighth notes, I can edit these subdivisions. Well, the vision is that you also have a little drum line, or you have a front ensemble or a soloist or whatever these things are that, ideally what you would do is have your metronome at the back of the field running, and then you could just switch it out so that instead of a metronome, it's actually the battery parts playing through the speaker, so that we're training the horn line to listen back to them. Or maybe there are segments of the show the battery doesn't play and you want the metronome there, and then you want to switch it so that now in the segments that the battery plays, it's playing the actual battery parts behind the ensemble. And you can do both of those. With what we're looking at doing, that's kind of where we're headed. And again, all that stuff just takes a huge amount of time. And what we're looking to do is get as many people as possible to kind of see that future vision, to kind of buy into that future vision, and really to subscribe to the app now, because like I said, every dollar goes into development of those future features, right? If you want rehearsal analytics, the best and fastest way for you to get rehearsal analytics is to hop in on a DropSpin subscription, because every one of those dollars goes directly into the development of that feature. Same thing with that MIDI playback thing I was just talking about. These are things that are already in development, already being worked on, but the sooner we can get them out, the better, right? And we've done a little bit of math and found that if we can get 2,000 subscribers by the end of this year, all of those features will be in by next year. So that's within 6-7 months, we can have all of this done, full rehearsal analytics, even down to individual students. We can get MIDI playback running on scores with the ability to play or not play battery parts in particular sections, or play or not play low brass parts in particular sections, right? Really, again, it's just about enabling us to rehearse in the ways that we always would have thought possible, but we were just so handicapped by the tooling that we had available to us at the time. So that's really kind of the vision here. And like I said, the primary call to action, get involved in any way, right? Whether it's giving us feedback, whether it's talking to us about the app, using the app inside your rehearsals, all that stuff is hugely valuable. But getting the pro subscription is really what starts to elevate this thing as fast as possible, as soon as possible for everyone. So the pro subscription is $5 a month, and it's billed annually. So it's $60 for the year. If you want more seats than the 20, there's kind of a scale that you can raise up. Right now, we're priced at about $1 per seat. You know, if you want to get it to all your students, or if you have more than 20 staff members, we are looking within the next 2 years to be priced the same as Ultimate Drill Book is, which is $10 per student, $10 per seat. So for you guys getting in today, you're at a 90% discount for life for this whole product, even when we start adding those new features. And the idea is that, you know, we add rehearsal analytics, now it's $3 a seat. We add the performance playback, MIDI playback, now it's going to be $5 per seat, right? And so we're going to be increasing the price as we increase these features. Again, we really appreciate you guys being here and listening to this and checking this out, being some of the early adopters. And so we really want to reward you guys for that. And so, like I said, for today, you guys end up getting a lifetime discount if you sign up for the DropSpin Pro subscription. It's like one nice meal for never spending a ton of money on a tool like this for as long as you're teaching music. But yeah, if also, just as one last thing, if you guys are thinking of anything, or in your head, you're like, I want to contribute to this, even if it's not getting a pro subscription, and you just want to help in any way you can, maybe you're a tech person, maybe you want to use it in your ensemble, right? Reach out, just let us know, say, hey, I want to help, what can I do? And just talk to us about it. Or, you know, if you have an idea about, I could be beneficial to you in this way, you know, send me a message, send us a message on Instagram. You can find me anywhere on any of the social medias. We have a bunch of channels. You can email us, support@dropspin.io. There's a ton of ways for you guys to get connected with us. And so again, just the big takeaway from this whole thing, beyond just the raw functionality of the app, is please, 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 we need your help to make this a reality, right? And we've kind of taken this vision up to this point, and it has taken years to get to this point. And it's already pretty freaking sweet. Rehearsing with this is awesome. Like I said, the feedback we've gotten from all the groups and all the instructors, and even some of the students who are using it, right? I think the drum majors love this thing because it makes their job less scary. They never mess up the metronome. And also, when they're at the back of the field, they can just hit start and then go do their job and rehearse as backfield conductor, instead of trying to scramble back and forth and do their multi-job thing and maybe mess up a rep because they weren't in the right spot at the right time, right? We don't have to worry about any of that anymore. That's all already gone with DropSpin, and the future is even brighter than that. So again, I really appreciate all you guys being here and taking the time out of your Monday to like sit here and listen to me kind of ramble on about this thing that we've spent the last couple of years building. And yeah, I think I'll open it up now for you guys. If any of you have any questions, let's go ahead and maybe drop them in the chat, or yeah, I think the chat is probably easiest. Do we already have some? Christina, are you helping to manage questions?
No questions, but
nice.
This is awesome, TJ. So
yeah, thanks, Joe. Cool. So let's give ourselves 30 to 60 seconds here. We didn't have any during the presentation. Does anybody have anything now that they want to hop on and say? Drop into the chat. Maybe you can unmute yourself. I don't know if you can unmute yourself in this call right now, but nobody's unmuting themselves. So I'm assuming that that means that they either can't or that nobody has questions. Got the chat. Thanks, Joe.
I think I can unmute myself. Hello.
Hello.
How's it going, man?
Well,
I totally missed the part of when you're uploading the score. Was there like a specific file type that it had to be, or?
Yeah. So the score has to be an XML or a music XML. And I can just show you, I can upload a new one because I'm loving flexing how easy it is to program a whole marching band show in DropSpin right now. So I'm just going to drop this in. exercise a.xml, new title, new description, put that into DropSpin Demo. And there you go. So yeah, so all you have to do is up in here, you have your upload new score. You can click to browse if you want to find your file manually, or you can just drag it and drop it into the editor, and those all should upload. So this is actually a single score upload. If you want to upload a whole series of scores, you go to create collection. A collection is like a group of scores, right? So I'm just going to grab a whole group, drop them in there, new collection for, who was this that was asking questions? Sorry.
It was me, Tommy.
Tommy. What's up, Tommy?
How's it
New
going, man?
collection for Tommy. Great collection. And since you missed this, I'll just do one quick overview again. At the bottom, I intentionally included a score that had no marked tempo. It tries to auto handle that for you. Tempo collection and section just gives you a little warning. Hey, I didn't see a tempo. So I just assigned a default tempo of 120. But then if I save that collection, you'll see now in my library, collection for Tommy, and you've got all your exercises there. So does that answer what that upload process looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. I honestly figured it would be more complicated, but it's literally just drag and drop.
Yeah.
So cool.
Beautiful. That's what I love to hear. That was really what we were going for. Simplicity is key, right? Taking a 20-minute task and making it a 20-second task or less. Does anybody else have any questions, comments, anything they want to see demonstrations of, or try and break the app? See if you can give me some challenges. Nice. Well, I feel pretty good about that. If you guys are all good to go, I'll stick around for a couple minutes just in case anybody has anything that they think of. You know, I know that I only gave you a couple seconds to think there, but yeah, this is pretty much a presentation. Like I said, please, please, please contribute in any way that you can. The biggest, most beneficial way you can contribute definitely would be to get a pro subscription. Like we said, we want to reward you guys for that with that lifetime discount, saying thank you for being an early adopter. Thank you for investing in our vision. Thank you for investing in the future of music education. So that's our biggest ask right now. But beyond that, there's a ton of ways that you guys can get involved. And so please don't hesitate. You know, we're all friendly people here. Reach out, say what's up. Let us know if you're having problems. Let us know what you love about it. Honestly, that's probably, I love the critical feedback because it makes the product better. That's objectively the best type of feedback to get, the critical stuff. But it also is really nice to hear, you know, that we had a student tell her instructor, because she knew that he knew me. She was like, tell him this has made my life so much better. The backfield drum major. So those types of comments are also really fun to get because it makes all of our blood, sweat, and tears we put into this really, really worth it. And we can say, yes, look, we're making a difference in students' lives. We're making a difference in instructors' lives. So, you know, the critical stuff is great. And please share that because that's how we make this thing the best it can be. But anything at all, you know, you guys are welcome to reach out to us. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you don't like. And just one more time, thank you all so much for being here to just listen through the whole spiel. Nice. Thank you. I really appreciate that. So cool. Thank you guys.